Reinforcing with TopVelocity.net at the hashtag Pitching Tip Show. We haven't done this in feels like 10 years. I think I was looking on YouTube and it said 2015. I think that's the last time we did this. So I decided to do it again, back by popular demand. We've got Mateo Ferguson here from the Bahamas. He came all the way out just to do this show. Yeah. Pretty tough, but he also trains here as well. And currently playing college ball, or in the process of transitioning in the transfer portal right now. Mm-hmm. So what are some of your goals here while everyone's getting to know you? Why are you here at TopVelocity? What are some of your goals?
Well, my goal this year is to, be more consistent with my velocity and be more consistent with my body movements and just learning my body more and just being efficient on the mound, being that guy to call on. I felt like over the time being, I didn't feel confident in myself, being here built my confidence and made me understand who I was and that I should be, this big guy and I should feel that way. So it's just, this year is just about building confidence, being a strike thrower and throwing the ball hard.
Yeah, and you've made a huge transformation in the past couple of years because you've come and gone for over a couple of years. Mm-hmm. You came in a lot smaller than you are now, throwing a lot slower than you throw now. Yeah. So, you've transformed yourself considerably. You're just right at the cusp, breaking through. Mm-hmm. So what's it like when you make good strides, but then you're kind of plateaued and you're trying to break through that ceiling? What's it like?
Okay, so not thinking logically, you just be upset, be mad, you be like, oh, I'm going up, and then boom, plateaued. But when you realize that, the whole purpose of plateauing is just understanding that, hey, there are going to be some jumps and there are going to be some days, and it's a process of life. In life, you're going to be shooting up through the sky with success, and there are going to be some moments where you're just stuck, and then you just have to realize that you have to find a way to push through that. So I've grown to learn that when I'm stuck, I find some sort of positive in that hard day. So whether it's just me picking up weights, simple as that. Well, I didn't throw as hard as I want to today, but I pick up some weights. Well, I cleaned up a little bit. It's just the little things. Or I did really good on the weights and did really bad throwing. I'll take my win on the weights and then just continue building from that.
Stay positive, and just keep working and pushing yourself to other levels, moving up levels of the program and challenging yourself, right?
Yep.
Also, too, you get to the point where you start to plateau, and it also kind of goes with where you are in your life, meaning you don't really have something lined up right now. So if you could get something lined up, like a tryout, like a coach that is ready for you to come and play, or whatever. Once you put that in the schedule, all of a sudden that really gives you the focus that you need. So I think that's also going to help you a lot. Once you line up your next big step, that's going to help you really focus on what you got to do to get there, right?
Yep.
So good things that come from Mateo. So we got 2 questions. We're going to answer these questions. I got Mateo here to help since he's a weathered top V guy. What's more important, trunk transverse rotation or trunk forward rotation? I'm going to answer it first and then you can add to it. It's obviously going to be both, because at the end of the day, when you're trying to optimize your ability to maximize force or get to a good peak velocity, even though that might not be the velocity you sit at, but you're challenging yourself, you're trying to get to 95. You're going to want to optimize every movement in your body. So as important as to get your trunk to rotate explosively, you're going to want to get your trunk to go forward explosively. And really, if you can't do them both, it starts to hurt you one way or the other. So doing both is really the answer. But you want to give them any tips on, or tell them, which one do you think's harder? Getting more transverse rotation or more forward rotation?
I feel like the most challenging one is probably forward.
Yeah.
So it definitely was for me personally.
I think it's a very common one. So
yeah.
Tell them some things. And I think that actually goes into the next one. The next question is, any advice or drills and ways for a rotator style pitcher to get more linear? So you're a more rotational pitcher. You have that more transverse rotation. How do you start to build in more linear trunk? What are some things that's helped you here to get more linear?
Well, for one, my mobility and my drive, definitely. So usually if you don't have the mobility requirements, your body would just naturally compensate and use other ways to get the ball where it's supposed to be, as hard as it could. But after you reach, the levels of mobility where you can move a little better and get in those grooves, you can drive and stay more linear. I personally had the problem, still kind of have it, but way more better on it now, of the problem of being rotational. So what I learned to do is, you know, not swing out my front leg so much to help me open up and try to swing that arm over. Or, you know, I put a weight on there and try to cut off my front leg and just focus on my back leg. It's usually more to drive. So you could work on that by just, you know, the king of the hill and just practicing driving, staying linear, all the sleds. Yep. Yeah.
And some of the things that are mobility-wise that help you get more linear is your back hip, when that femur, with your upper thigh, when it can push more forward, so when that femur head can extend or can rotate or abduct back and your front hip can extend forward, when you have more mobility in that hip extension, now you have more force in your lower half pushing linear. And if you can delay your trunk against that, then that's going to project and carry your trunk forward. So a big piece to mobility for being linear is hip extension. It's also going to be trunk rotation, meaning thoracic rotation. The more I can hold this back as my hip is extending, then the more force will thrust me forward and I get that linear. So it's that combination of like your hip extending and your thoracic trunk rotating back against each other, and it unleashes the catapult or like that domino effect of launching everything forward.
Exactly.
So what have you found more challenging in working on that? Is it more challenging working on the mobility to do that, the biomechanics to do that, like the drills to do that, or the power, because it takes power to do that? Which one of those is the hardest one to get better at?
I feel like the hardest thing for me to get better personally, or, you know, most guys out there that are like me, big and stuff like that, would be the mobility part. Getting those hips flexible is probably one of the toughest muscles to be flexible in. So the biggest challenge would be getting out those hips in there.
Well, coming from a guy who's got good size and he's really explosive, the guy can do a backflip. Can you do one right now or no?
Let's try it out.
Let's see if we can do a backflip. Watch him crash. Here we go. Wow, impressive. So
power clean day.
Not many guys can do that. And could you do a backflip before you came here?
No.
And how much did you weigh when you came here?
243 pounds.
When you came here?
Oh.
No, you came here skinny.
2017, 18?
Yeah.
I was like 160 pounds.
Yeah, and he's 230, how much now?
230 flat.
230 now, so he couldn't do a backflip, what, 50 pounds lighter or even more?
Yeah.
And now he can do a backflip. So that shows how hard he's worked to get explosive. Like you said, now it's the mobility, and now it's the drills to put the biomechanics together and get the better result. Any last words?
Well, only thing I could say is just pitchers out there, just focus on mobility. I know a lot of guys out there focus on size. Don't get me wrong, size is a big part of it, but you got to learn how to move that size. Before I became 230 or fluctuating 225, 230, I was 243, which I couldn't move. So I had to lose the weight, drop the good weight, and just become explosive the way you should be. And by doing that, my results shoot up, power cleans went up, became a better person on the field, in the training room. And so my advice is just continue working. Don't get upset about the plateaus.
Yeah,
and
if you're in a position like Mateo and you're trying to cut weight, you got to do that through a nutritional program like we have at TopVelocity. Nutrition is the key, and how you design that, right? You got to design it, because if you just take your calories down, you're going to lose muscle, right? So you got to make sure you put together a good lean approach to getting to the weight you want. But most guys just need to gain weight.
Yeah.
Not many guys are lucky like you that can gain it so well. So, all right, so that was good. That was first episode in a long time of the @TopVelocity #Pitch Tip Show. If you have any questions, post them here at the bottom of the video, and we'll get that question on the next show. We'll see you next time.